Hello my friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Here we are in the very brisk days of January, and I have got 700 last tulips that I need to plant. So I know that y'all may be sick of seeing me plant some tulips, but you know what? This is what I'm doing in my garden right now, y'all. And so I am just going to share that with you. I have got wild thing over here. The colder it is, the happier she is. So she is going to be with us. And then Megan, so our middle child, is helping me as well. She is still on school break, so she was like, please, can I help? So I'll start to go a little stir crazy around here. But we do have the last tulips to plant, and the reason that we are late planting these is because I had to, this was kind of a late addition to the garden plan for this year. So I ordered them from Color Plans, did not have time for them to pre-chill them. So I pre-chill them myself in North Carolina, zone 8A. I have to pre-chill my tulips. We don't get cold enough for long enough. It's definitely cold right now, but it's not, we don't stay consistently cold enough for tulips to go through that period. So we have to pop them in the fridge for 8 to 10 weeks. They have chilled for 8 to 10 weeks, and now they are ready to get in the ground. Basically, as long as your ground is not frozen, you can't add bulbs. So what we have is this lovely little collection of yellow bags back here on the back of Johnny. We have golden Purisma. And so these are going to be bright yellow, solid yellow tulips. They're going to be an early to mid bloomer. They're going to be about 16 to 18 inches tall. And like I said, we have got 700 of them. And so we are going to jam them in here. Excuse me. Now, tulips for us in North Carolina, they are not perennials, they are annuals. And so I can really jam pack them in here because I'm not leaving them in here for years upon years upon years, right? So I can kind of ignore that spacing on them and plant them as close as I possibly want to. So what we're going to do, you can see where Megan, we have a little collection of leaves that have gotten collected, so we need to get those out so that we can move some soil around. But basically we are planting those tulips from this little notch in the wall, this little step down from here all the way down. So we have those 700 in here. We, of course, is a brand new flower bed. We've never planted in here before, and so this is the first time. And you can see that's why we have a little bit of a lip, and so this is catching all of the leaves. So she's just pulling them out for me. We'll just take them and actually just throw them back in the woods. And so we're going to make it simple, and we are going to basically create a little trench trough here in the flower bed, and then we're going to lay them down, the tulips down. We're going to, of course, have our yummy biotone in there as well. Biotone is great for root growth. We want nice strong roots growing, so we're going to do that so that these babies can get nice and established and give us beautiful blooms, probably in like mid-March or so, mid to late March. This is a particularly warm spot. It is in full sun, so I wouldn't be surprised if these bloom on a little bit of the earlier side. So the idea is we're just doing a mass planting, right, of these beautiful, happy yellow tulips. It is going to be so much fun. This bed is about 4 feet wide, but we're not going to go all the way up. I'm going to leave plenty of room here on the edge. That way when Chandler comes through to mow the grass or do anything with the grass, he doesn't have to worry about hitting tulip bulbs or the foliage or anything like that. So we're really going to bring them really forward, right, and have them here in the front. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our best. We've never done this in this spot before. Like I said, it's a brand new flower bed. So we're going to get our shovels kind of bring back the soil. I'm going to actually push it towards the grass and create like a little bit of a trough. I don't have to go super deep on these particular tulips. I was looking, and we only have to go, that's a great thing about color blends, is they tell you right there on the tag, we only have to go 5 inches deep, so that's great. So we really don't have to go too far, like I don't have to dig too far, because once we get the tulips in, Jerry's actually going to come through with the machine, and we're going to dump some of our compost. We call it the Creekside compost blend because it's a special blend that we have them make for us. And so we're going to dump it on top of there, and then yeah, and then we will be good to go. I don't know if we're going to put any of the Daddy Peat on top. We will see. I do know that I desperately need to add the Daddy Peat soil enhancer over here. Honestly, not sure if we're going to get that done today or not. We will see. The girls and I are headed into Charlotte tonight. We're going to go see Hamilton. So that was Emily's birthday present, and so we are headed to downtown Charlotte to see Hamilton in person. So I know that we can't spend a ton of time out here because we gotta get showers. We can't go to the theater like this. So without further ado, Megan and I are going to get after it, and we're going to get these 700 yellow tulips in the ground. Alrighty, my friends, we have got all 700 of the tulips have been planted, and oh my gosh, it is going to be an absolutely spectacular display come this spring. Cannot wait to see those. And it was really, really easy. I mean, doing the whole trench method was great, and of course, having Megan's help is always very welcome. So just kind of digging that trench just a little bit. So I had the shovel, of course, and digging, I don't know, it wasn't even 2 foot, you know, kind of divot out. And so I kind of did it, and then she brought the rake and just pulled everybody up and brought that soil up, and then laying down some of that biotone. And then you had 700 of them, so I like to try to keep things pretty balanced. So I put 3 bags on each section, and then we split a bag. So they are in there nice and tight. They are going to be stunning. Left plenty of room for the backside to be open. We don't need to have full coverage on this flower bed. I mean, you could, of course, but I've learned that, especially last year, to leave Chandler plenty of room on the edge of the flower bed towards the grass. That way he's got plenty of room right there. So when he's mowing and edging the grass, that we don't get into the way of what he's doing. So having these bulbs right here is just going to be absolutely gorgeous. They are jammed packed in there, which is exactly what I wanted. I want to have that huge display of those bright, cheery, yellow flowers. They're gonna be very vase-like on their habit to them as far as the blooms on them. Very different than all of the big apricot, because those are the giant Darwin tulips. So not that you will see them, because I mean there is a pretty good distance between them, but just it's fun to have tulips of different shapes, right, and different types of them. So to have them in here will be fantastic. Very excited about it. And then of course Jerry came through. I just kind of pulled the soil back just a little bit. Jerry came through with our compost blend and added that in there, because remember, this is a brand new bed, and because this was all had been native soil, so when we put in the retaining wall here, obviously we had to build this up because there was a big gap there. And so adding in tons of organic material into this area is really going to be key, because this is going to be a annual flower bed, right? We have the Roman candle podocarpus down here that you and from Southern Living, so it is down there on the end. My family keeps making fun of me. They're like, Mama, that is the most randomly placed shrub. And I'm like, you don't see the big picture. The big picture, I've got a vision there in my brain. Just hang on to it, because of course that'll get nice and tall. It'll be variegated, it'll be thick. It anchors the two ends of the bed. There's another one down there. And then like come this summer, this is gonna be filled with annuals. So we're gonna have massive color. So right now, yes, it looks very lonely down there on the end. Don't worry, she's gonna have lots of company in here. But because this bed is always going to be annuals, we want to put in as much nice, rich organic material as we possibly can, because that way we're not going to have to fertilize. Good compost is delicious food for your annuals, and so the more nutrient rich that your soil is, the less that you have to fertilize. There will be irrigation in this bed. In fact, you may have seen the brown irrigation tubes. They were kind of sticking up. I just tucked them kind of up against the wall right here. When you know your high is in the low 40s, that's not the time to try to put irrigation pieces together, because you need some pliability to those irrigation tubes. So now is not the time to do that. And so not that it's going to like hurt anything, it's just going to be very challenging for the person who is doing it. So we'll wait till the springtime, and plus I don't need irrigation in this bed. It rains all the time in the winter time here in North Carolina. So I don't need irrigation until this summer. So once the tulips come out and we put the summer annuals in before we do the top dress with the mulch, then we'll go ahead and hook up the irrigation and run that drip line through it right and then. But we don't need it right now. But this will be on irrigation in the heat of the summer, because this spot absolutely bakes. And then Jackson, of course, was so kind and came through and mulch this for me. So call this kind of like the cottage garden extension, because this whole section all the way up is all brand new. Wanted to tie that into the existing cottage garden. So he was kind enough and got the Daddy Pete for me and got ahead and got all that mulched. So all of those perennials and shrubs are nice and tucked in and are going to be very, very happy with their roots nice and insulated. We do need to come up here and do the same thing up to the steps, but I told him to hold off on that, because while this was the last of the tulips to get planted, I did order some white squill. They'll be sweet little perennial bulbs. They're nice and short, white with like a little bit of blue in them. So I'm gonna put those all up in there around the steps so they can pop up. So we have those we need to stick in the ground before we put that mulch down right over there. I do want to kind of share with you that if you were with me, I don't know, two months ago, I guess it was now. I don't know when it was, y'all. And we planted some anemones and some poppies up here. Well, the anemones, some of them have begun to bloom. Even though it is quite cool here in North Carolina and the sun is not going to cooperate with me, so you're going to see the camera's shadow. Sorry about that. But look at that. Yes. How fantastic is that? So there are quite a couple of them in here that are blooming. They popped up relatively quickly. But y'all, these things have been here and they don't care that, you know, we've been down into the 20s, the teens. They are loving life and are doing great. So very happy with how well they are doing, and they are going to be such a beautiful display. And then of course, remember the garden boxes are filled with hundreds and hundreds of tulips in here as well. So it is going to be an absolutely spectacular spring, and they'll start blooming mid-March. So mid to late March is when the tulips will bloom here. That is because I choose early to mid bloomers, because being here in North Carolina, I want my tulips to bloom and be done, so that way I can put my summer annuals in. So because the earlier you get your summer annuals in, the better they do in the heat and the humidity. So that is the deal on that. And then here, in fact, I was thinking about, do I go ahead and do this today? But I don't think I am, because we have an appointment we have to go to tonight. Pretty soon it's going to be time to prune roses. Here in North Carolina, you prune your roses about mid-January. And so here we have a Rise Up Amberness from Proven Winners. I love this rose. It is an absolute gorgeous amber color, and it smells divine. It is fantastic. It's what they call a mini climber. So you can use it as a shrub or as a little bit of a small climber. So you get like maybe 4 to 5 feet tall. So it is time here in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. There's grace in gardening, so it doesn't have to be super specific, but to go ahead and prune this rose. And then of course we have the Princess Anne standard from David Alston. So we need to give her a little trim as well, because all of your roses bloom on new growth, and you need to prune all of your roses to encourage those new flowers. The only exception would be some of the old heirloom varieties. But that you can see, like Princess Anne, I don't know if you can see this right here, she's already started to try to push out some new growth, like right here, look at that. And so that's when you want to prune it really before it flushes out all this new growth. So I need to come in here, thin out. Of course, I'll take you along every year whenever I prune my roses. I always take you along for the ride and to show you how to prune your roses, because I know for me personally, it can be quite kind of an intimidating thing. When I first started doing roses, it's like, how do I prune a rose? And I may still probably am not doing it perfectly, but you know what? I get gorgeous flowers, and there you go. So we will do that in the next coming weeks. But it feels great to get this part done. The tulips, I can now say with 100% certainty that all the tulips are in the ground. Praise the Lord, they are done. And now I do have a couple of more spring flowering bulbs that I have to get in the ground. But I think we're expected to get some interesting weather, so we can see if I can get it in before any of that kind of stuff happens. But as always, we so appreciate you. Hope you found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.